Stephen Moore, he's I love that he works at Heritage Foundation, who's in the news so much now today because of Project 2025. Stephen Moore, I got to give video credit to Ilana Jen, who posted that video, and I snagged it off. Thanks so much for joining us, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, guys. And by the way, I didn't know I was on tape. I might not have. I've been a little more positive. I had such a fun time on Monday night. We had 600 people there,
Yeah.
and people were just rocking and rolling. And as I said at that speech that I gave out in Palatine, look, I think this is going to be a monster year for Republicans all over the country. And is Donald Trump going to win Illinois? No.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this: he's going to drive out voters. We're going to win seats for city council. We're going to win school board races. We're going to win congressional seats because Trump drives out voters. He has coattail effects like no other politician in the last 30. The only other politician in my lifetime that drives out voters like that is Ronald Reagan.
Yes.
And so that was my message on Monday night is, we're not going to win we're not going to win Illinois in terms of the presidential race, but I think you could see massive pickups all over the state and in local races. So I'm excited about this. And it's the same thing all over the country. I mean, look, whether it's Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, they're both incompetent. Right? I mean, could you pick two worst people that you would want to be in the Oval Office? So good, really good opportunities. But I was so excited to see, hey, there are actually 600 Republicans in Illinois.
Yeah, it was actually a good meeting. But, one of the things school choice is something. How important is school choice, especially in a city like Chicago, Rockford, East St. Louis? How important is that?
So, one of the points that I think we have to make as conservatives first and Republicans second. And by the way, I'm not a rah-rah Republican.
I know.
Republicans are, as you know, but look, they're better than the alternative, that's for sure. And one of the points, though, we have to make as Republicans is that this issue that you're talking about, giving every single parent and family in the state of Illinois and across America a choice about when they send their kids to school, and screw the unions. If they're against it, we have to roll over the unions on this because the purpose of the schools is for the kids. It's to educate the kids. It's not for the union. And so I believe, and I wonder if you guys would agree with me on this, I really believe this is the civil rights issue of our era. You've got a situation, as you know, guys know, I'm from Chicago. I love the city of Chicago. I think it's one of the 10 greatest cities in the world. But when you have a situation where you have over 20 schools in the city of Chicago where not a single child is reading or doing math at grade level proficiency, shut the damn things down.
Man.
Shut them down and that's child abuse. It really is.
It is.
Yeah, we've had experiences here in the city of Chicago where the school Urban Prep, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it was a school for for high school age black males.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the CTU has worked its magic with Mayor Brandon Johnson, who is a CTU employee prior to becoming mayor. Shut it down because it was working.
What?
It was actually working. I mean, how do we?
Why?
But they've taken over. They've taken over, Stephen. The CTU now owns the Chicago Public Schools, and the fact that we're going to an elected school board, which means they're going to use the same political clout to control the school board.
Yeah.
We've got serious trouble here.
The real problem here is that who are the victims of these policies? It's not affluent whites.
Nope.
It's basically minorities and lower income people who don't, have to send their kids to these failing schools. And by the way, I'm an advocate of school choice. I've been all over the country. I've been to so many charter schools. I've been to a lot of the Catholic schools, the Christian schools, the Jewish schools, all sorts of alternative schools. And it is so exciting when you see young black and Hispanic and lower income white kids, and they're excited about their school and they're learning things. And you go into the public schools, I live in Washington, D.C. I haven't been in the Chicago schools recently, but it's like a jungle. It's like, it's not a learning environment. The kids are yelling and screaming down the halls. There are people doing drugs, and, there's people fighting. There's no order in the classroom. and it almost brings tears to your eyes. And like, why do we allow this to happen?
Yeah. And you know what, Stephen, when I look, I'm a huge fan of Thomas Sowell. I know you're an economist.
Me too.
I know you're an economist as well.
I love that man.
I remember being a kid.
By the way, did you know he's 94 now?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's right. I talked to him a few months ago. He's writing another book. He's 94.
Oh my goodness. I've read all of his books actually. But I know I know you're an economist as well. I remember growing up and thinking about economists. I was like, "Wow, that's the nerd stuff. That's boring." But now that I'm older, I mean, reading his book, Basic Economics and Applied Economics. How can we do something in Black communities, brown communities, where they can grow a love of the economy, understanding what it actually means? Because our public schools are not doing a good job at all as it relates to teaching kids about it. Because I remember we used to take classes. I talked to when my kids were in public schools, because I took my kids out of public schools. They weren't taught this type of stuff. How do we bring that back?
So the first thing we have to do, in my opinion, and I'm white, I'm not Black, I'm not Hispanic, I'm white, but we have to stop treating minorities like they're victims.
Boy,
did you see that speech that god awful speech that Joe Biden gave to I think it was Morehead State, one of the historically Black.
Morehouse.
Yeah, Morehouse.
And remember,
and Howard.
It was one of the most despicable speeches I've ever heard a president give. And he basically talked to these, proud families of their, the kids and the parents so proud of their kids graduating. And what is the message he gives them? Oh, you face racism when you go out. You're not going to be able to succeed in America because there's racism, this and that. What kind of a message is that? And then Biden says we are a systemically racist country.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, if my kids say that, I would spank them. This is the greatest country on earth. It is the least racist country on the planet.
Yeah.
We are the one country that is the only successful multicultural country in the history of the world. And when you have the president of the United States who defames our country by saying that we're systemically racist, outrageous.
Preach.
Hey, Stephen, you know who I received most racism from when I was a state representative in Grundy County, Will County, LaSalle County, and Kendall County. You know where I received most of my racism from? The Democrat population. It wasn't the Republican population. And I ran in a 95% white district. It was 0.002% of Black voters down there, and yet I still was elected.
Wow.
Listen, here's what I would say about that. America is not a systemic racist country. Does America have racists and racism in it? Yes, but it's not systemic at all.
That's right. I couldn't agree more. And yes, of course, there's racism in the country. Look, I was discriminated against because I'm a little short. I mean, but the thing is that we are the Black progress has been amazing in this country. Hispanic progress, but I want to go back to that point. I really do believe that the worst thing that the left does is keep telling Black kids. Like my hero was Jack Kemp. I don't know if you guys.
I know Jack.
Sure.
Yeah.
Great American. And he used to say, look, if you're trying to teach your kid how to ride a bike, the first thing you don't start by telling them, oh, by the way, you're probably never going to be able to ride this bike, because it's hard. That's what we do with Black and Hispanic Americans. We say, oh, you're not going to be able to succeed in America. There's too much racism. There's too many obstacles.
Yeah.
And that's outrageous. Look at So, no, you can succeed in America. That should be the lesson, not, oh, everybody's against you.
That's so true. Stephen Moore, I know you got to get going, but I really appreciate having a conversation with you. I love every time I see you. We have good. I didn't get a chance to talk to you this night. I was a little busy, but I didn't get a chance.
I didn't see you there. I mean, it was such a fun evening, and God, I was so pumped up by people who turned out. I just think our guys are fired up right now.
I think we are.
Folks, you got to do your patriotic duty and vote in November and get rid of these scoundrels.
I think it's going to, from your lips to God's ears.
Okay,
Stephen Moore,
care.
thanks so much for joining us, Chicago Morning Answer. I really love talking with him, man. I mean, have you ever had a one-on-one conversation with Stephen Moore, Charles?
No, I haven't.
Oh, man.
This was the first I've heard of him.
Live is different.
Of him, but
radio is one thing, but having a conversation with him live in person, he's so factual. He knows what he's talking about.
Well, when he talks about victimhood,
yeah,
he touches me because that is my thing. We are not victims, we are victors.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is look at history and see it. And it's a great victory that black people have had in this hemisphere, in this country, I should say. And that's what we have to start teaching.
Yeah, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Fruit and vegetable ingredients have never been more convenient.
It's easy for me to recommend Balance of Nature. It's so simple. It's amazing getting the fruits and vegetables ingredients in 3 red and 3